Good evening to the tireless believers in love and the quiet witnesses of chemistry you can't fake. Welcome back to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, the cozy corner where we don't just skim the headlines, we lean in and listen to the heartbeat beneath them. Tonight, we are not chasing trouble or stirring a storm. We are tracing a current that has been getting stronger, steadier, and impossible to ignore. We are speaking about Navruz, about Alina, and about the soft-spoken clues that suggest the distance between colleagues and forever has grown very, very small. Before we step into this warmth together, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tap like if you believe in love that unfolds with patience, and if you want to keep independent, heartfelt storytelling alive, hit the join button. Your support keeps the lights glowing and the stories flowing. Now, let's lend our ears to a truth is said to be done carrying quietly. In the low-lit corners of the Turkish entertainment world, where secrets move like currency and privacy is the most guarded treasure, a new hum is turning into a melody. It's about the words Navruz has reportedly shared behind the scenes about Alina, words so gentle, so unguarded and unmistakably certain, that even the friends who swore to lock them away couldn't keep them from spilling into the air. It began like so many set-day conversations begin, laughter bouncing off mirrors in a makeup trailer, jokes tossed between takes, memories swapped over lukewarm coffee. But then, with that calm, grounded voice that commands a room without ever chasing volume, is said to have let a truth slip that sent a ripple through the fandom's quiet corners. The future with Alina no longer feels like a dream that lives on a far horizon. It feels close enough to reach. We remember where this all began. A project brought them together, asked them to wear characters like new skin, positioned them side by side in the cold glow of studio light. At first, the electricity belonged to their roles, scripted emotions, rehearsed glances, the choreography of a story captured in shot lists and call sheets. And yet, between setups, something tender lingered. No director cued it. No line called for it. It existed in the words they didn't need to say, in the ease that settled between them when the cameras paused. Observers began to notice the subtle shift, the strict edges of professionalism softening into a connection that didn't need explanation to be felt. Both held fast to their craft. Their focus remained exact. Their interviews were studies in respect, careful, measured, generous without ever giving too much away. But the language of the heart is stubborn and luminous, and it finds its way to the surface no matter how gently you try to tuck it beneath the waves. Now, after months of honoring the boundary between public curiosity and private truth, the air around them has changed. Those who have been near the quiet corners of their days say isn't dodging the questions about the long game anymore. He isn't offering charming smiles and quick pivots. Instead, he's speaking with an ease and clarity that even longtime friends are calling new. He is said to refer to Alina as more than a partner, more than a companion, more than a beautiful section of his life story. He calls her the steadying point, the person who keeps his world aligned when the spotlight flares too hot. And when conversations deepen and the room grows still, he is rumored to admit that the thought of a home with her no longer hovers like an unfinished sentence, but lands like a line finally finding its period. No grandstanding. No lines rehearsed for effect. Just clean, honest certainty. Meanwhile, the world beyond their circles behaves as it always does. It watches. It wonders. It threads questions through timelines and comment sections. Fans have seen how carefully they balance the lives they built in public with the need to guard a sanctuary that belongs to no one else. They travel when they can, go quiet when they must, and return just long enough to remind everyone why their shared presence feels different. There are whispers of sunset escapes, of tucked-away havens by the sea, of weekend breathers in places where the pace slows and the phone can finally sit face down. We hear that when scripts are closed and the powder is brushed away, they remain each other's calm at the end of the chaos. And the word on Alp's tongue does not sound casual. It sounds committed. It sounds close. The reason these murmurs land differently is simple. For a long time, Alp kept a respectful distance from the idea of marriage in any conversation that wasn't built on trust. Not out of fear of love, no artist who steps fully into emotion is afraid of it, but out of respect for tempo. He honors timing. He values promises that arrive when both hands are ready to hold them. He protects the people he loves by refusing to rush the clock. So when friends hear him speak of a shared life as something no longer someday but soon, the seriousness carries like a bell across a quiet field. And there is Alina, composed, discerning, unhurried in the way she shows the corners of her heart. She doesn't chase attention with declarations or flashy posts. She avoids adornment. She lets the work roar and the feelings breathe. But the way her smile tilts when his name drifts into an interview, the way her voice softens, the stillness that gathers in her eyes when she's asked about him, those are a language too. People close to her say she does not think of this story as something to sample and set aside. She sees it as a journey she wants to protect, a home she is willing to build, a future she is ready to shape with her own hands. If the whispers are true, the families have already stepped quietly onto the stage. No spectacle. No flashbulbs. Just early talks in living rooms flooded with afternoon light, tea poured into warm cups, and glances that say more than introductions ever could. The feeling on both sides, we're told, is one of ease and recognition, as if everyone realized at once they were exactly where they were meant to be. No official steps yet. No announcements. But often, before the official steps, something precious happens. A home is imagined, a circle opens, and a path clears. Follow the thread back and you find the simplest truth: two professionals meeting as equals, building trust that sprouted in a scene partner's gaze and grew roots when the camera stopped rolling. Neither needed the other to glow, and yet, when they stood shoulder to shoulder, the light turned fuller. People talk about chemistry like it's a trick of the lens or a gift from lucky angles. But what has never seemed to fade is the kindness beneath it all, the mutual respect, the steady way they lift each other's work without casting a shadow across it. There is comfort in watching two people refuse to compete, and there is hope in seeing them choose gentleness where noise is the norm. Now their private phrases carry weight. Those who've listened closely say that when Alp talks about the months ahead, he doesn't sound like someone throwing lines at the fog. He sounds like a man who has kept the future in his hands and decided to keep his grip steady. He becomes unexpectedly poetic, like people do when they speak from a place they trust. He says life is finding its shape. He says the road grows clearer with her steps matching his. He says that when the house lights dim and the crowd fades back, certainty remains, and the hand he wants to hold is the same one he reaches for every morning. The watchers who decode gestures have been busy. They trace how their calendars mysteriously align even when the public schedule says they shouldn't. They note the unannounced breathers after intense runs of filming. They catalog the glimmers. A photograph captured from a respectful distance, a companionable quiet on a flight, matching silhouettes appearing months apart. There are no choreographed displays, no oversized gestures. Just a string of small, human moments that, gathered together, tell a full story. Critics try to make it complicated. They ask if it's too soon. They wonder if the weight of all those eyes makes anyone hesitate. But the people standing close say there is no rush, only readiness. That what's being chosen here is care over spectacle, intention over impulse. That the goal isn't to surprise the world but to honor the love they've been carefully tending in rooms no camera can enter. We must pause and honor the rarity of this. In a field that feeds on quick flames and public unraveling, Alp and Alina are playing for the long arc. What do you think? Is their quiet a kind of strength? Is privacy the compass that keeps the path straight? Tell us in the comments. And remember, the join button is how you can help this channel keep bringing you these deep dives into the spaces between the headlines. When people talk about the first whispers, they mention the calm. There were no chaotic drops into rumor. No messy corners. There was patience. There was time. And when the energy shifted, when the private language gathered certainty, it didn't crash in like a plot twist. It turned the page the way steady stories always do, one breath and then the next. We are told their teams are supportive, that during creative meetings, read-throughs, and marathon shoot days, there is room for their rhythm to exist without interruption. Their devotion to craft has never faltered. If anything, it's deepened, as though finding tenderness sharpened their focus instead of stealing from it. The commitment to excellence didn't get traded for romance, it was strengthened by it. That's why people believe in them. That's why the idea of an official promise doesn't feel like gossip but lands with the dignity of something earned. And what of those words that set all this in motion? The phrases that passed, soft as secrets, from one trusted friend to another until they found the conversation the rest of us are having now. They aren't reckless proclamations. They aren't vows hurled into the wind. They sound like the measured truths of a man who has avoided grandstanding his entire career. If he is speaking about marriage not as a whisper but as a nearness, then perhaps the horizon is much closer than it looks. As for Alina, her subtlety remains its own kind of poetry. She does not need to stamp her feelings with statements when her actions speak with so much clarity. Those who know her say she is deliberate about timing, careful about how much light she lets in, acutely aware of how easily quiet joy can be disturbed. And yet the joy is there, unmistakable, glowing at the edges of her days, through a laugh shared on a sleepless set, through a message of support delivered without fanfare, through the simple constancy of her presence that seems to say, I am here, still here, always here. So where does that leave us tonight? With a narrative that blossomed in the softest shadow now stepping into a warm glow. With families who may already have exchanged those knowing looks that say more than words ever could. With friends who've watched companionship lower its anchor and hold. With fans who cheer not because a headline told them to, but because they can feel it in the tender, ordinary details. This isn't a fling. This is whether you can count on. People say a promise is coming. Maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not blasted with fireworks. Maybe it arrives as everything about them has arrived. Quietly, in a small room lit by trust, with eyes that have already said yes, with hands that already know the shape of home. And when that moment comes, whether witnessed by many or sealed within a circle of those who matter most, it will feel less like a surprise and more like recognition. Of course, we will say. Of course it's time. Of course they chose each other. Until then, we let the story write itself in glances and gestures, in the careful dance of schedules, in the unwavering respect that never seems to fade. We remember how it began, how it grew, how it learned to breathe. And we hold close the line that seems to echo through everything they do. The future is not far away. It waits just across the water, calling to them by name. Thank you for spending this moment with us for a special report on Turkish Spotlight Secrets. If this unfolding tale of quiet commitment touched something true in you, please like, subscribe, and share. And for those who want to stand beside us as we bring the stories that matter into the light, the join button is waiting. Until we meet again, trust the stillness, and trust the path. Goodbye.